Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the biggest thing holding them back is not their circumstances, not their past, not their lack of resources, but their inability to make a powerful decision. Your life changes the moment you decide that enough is enough. It changes when you stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect conditions and choose to take control of your future. Many people spend years hoping their lives will improve. They hope for more money, better relationships, greater health, and more happiness. But hope without action changes nothing. The people who create extraordinary lives are not necessarily the smartest, the luckiest, or the most talented. They are the ones who make a decision and commit to it with everything they have. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is often one bold decision. Think about it. Every major transformation begins with a single choice. The choice to quit making excuses. The choice to stop settling. The choice to believe in yourself. History is filled with people who changed their destiny because they made one decision that altered the direction of their lives forever. They didn't know exactly how everything would work out. They simply decided they would no longer accept the life they were living. Too many people underestimate the power of commitment. They say they want success, but they leave themselves an escape route. They say they want change, but they keep one foot in their comfort zone. Real change happens when your decision becomes stronger than your fear. When you burn the bridges behind you and refuse to go back, you discover strengths you never knew existed. The truth is that your future is being shaped by the decisions you make every single day. Every habit started with a decision. Every achievement started with a decision. Every breakthrough started with a decision. Your life is not the result of what happens to you. It is the result of what you decide to do about what happens to you. The moment you take responsibility for your choices, you take control of your destiny. Some people are waiting for confidence before they act. But confidence comes after the decision, not before it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward despite fear. The most successful people in the world have fears, doubts, and uncertainties just like everyone else. The difference is that they refuse to let those feelings dictate their actions. You may have experienced failure. You may have been disappointed. You may have faced obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome. But your past does not define your future. What defines your future is the decision you make today. One decision can turn pain into purpose. One decision can turn setbacks into comebacks. One decision can open doors you never imagined possible. Imagine where your life could be a year from now if you decided today to give your absolute best. Imagine the opportunities you could create, the goals you could achieve, and the person you could become. The life you dream about is not as far away as you think. It begins with a choice to take action, a choice to believe, a choice to refuse mediocrity. The greatest gift you possess is the power to decide. No one can take that from you. No matter what has happened in your life, you still have the ability to choose your response. You can choose growth over comfort. You can choose discipline over excuses. You can choose faith over fear. You can choose action over procrastination. So today, make a decision. Decide that your dreams matter. Decide that your goals are worth fighting for. Decide that you will no longer let fear, doubt, or uncertainty control your future. Decide that you are capable of more than you've been settling for, because the truth is simple. You are one decision away from a different life, one decision away from greater success, one decision away from better health, one decision away from stronger relationships, one decision away from becoming the person you were born to be. The question is not whether your life can change. The question is, what decision will you make today? Most people believe that life changes through massive opportunities, sudden luck, or extraordinary circumstances. They spend years waiting for a breakthrough, hoping that one day something outside of themselves will magically transform their situation. But the truth is far more empowering than that. Life often changes because of a single decision. one choice can become the turning point between an average life and an exceptional one. Every successful entrepreneur, athlete, leader, and visionary can trace their journey back to a moment when they decided to act differently. They made a choice that separated them from the crowd. The exciting reality is that the same power exists within you right now. You may not control everything that happens around you, but you always control the decisions you make. The direction of your future is not determined by chance. It is determined by the choices you are willing to make today. Think about the biggest achievements in human history. Behind every great accomplishment was a person who made a decision before anyone else believed it was possible. They chose to keep going when others quit. They chose to believe when others doubted. They chose to act when others hesitated. What makes this inspiring is that these individuals were not born with special advantages that guaranteed success. They simply reached a moment when they refused to accept limitations. They made a decision that became the foundation for everything that followed. Every dream begins with a choice. Every goal starts with a commitment. Every transformation starts with the courage to say, my life can be different, and I am willing to do something about it. Many people underestimate the significance of a single decision because they focus only on immediate results. They expect dramatic changes overnight, and when they do not see them, they lose motivation. But powerful decisions often work like seeds planted in fertile soil. At first, nothing seems different. The outside world may look exactly the same, yet beneath the surface, something important has begun. The decision to improve your health may start with one workout. The decision to change your finances may start with one disciplined choice. The decision to pursue a dream may start with one courageous step. Those small beginnings may appear insignificant, but they carry the potential to reshape an entire future. Great outcomes are often the result of decisions made long before success becomes visible. There comes a point in life when every person faces a choice between comfort and growth. Comfort feels safe because it is familiar. It asks nothing new from you and requires no risk. Growth, however, demands courage. It challenges you to step into uncertainty and trust yourself despite fear. The individuals who create extraordinary lives are not fearless. They simply make a decision that their goals are more important than their doubts. They understand that staying where they are carries a greater cost than taking a chance on something better. The moment you decide to move beyond your comfort zone, you unlock possibilities that were previously hidden from view. Doors begin to open, opportunities begin to appear, and strengths you never knew existed start to emerge. What makes decisions so powerful is that they instantly change your direction. Imagine a ship crossing an ocean. A slight adjustment in its course may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time it leads to a completely different destination. Life works the same way. One decision to learn a new skill, build a positive habit, end a destructive pattern, or pursue a meaningful goal can completely alter where you end up years from now. The future is not created in one giant leap. It is created through the accumulation of decisions that guide you toward a new destination. Every day you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. Every choice either moves you closer to your dreams or further away from them. The most inspiring part of this truth is that no matter where you are right now, the power to change remains in your hands. Your current circumstances do not have the final say. Your past mistakes do not have the final say. The opinions of others do not have the final say. The final say belongs to the decision you make today. In this very moment, you possess the ability to choose a new direction, embrace a bigger vision, and commit to a higher standard for your life. The distance between where you are and where you want to be may seem enormous, but every remarkable journey begins with a single step, and every step begins with one decision, a decision powerful enough to change everything. One of the greatest obstacles standing between people and the life they desire is the belief that they must wait for the perfect moment before taking action. They convince themselves that they will start when they have more money, more knowledge, more confidence, or more support. Days turn into months, months turn into years, and dreams remain exactly where they started, in the imagination. The reality is that perfect conditions rarely exist. Life is unpredictable, circumstances are never completely ideal, and there will always be reasons to delay. The people who achieve extraordinary results understand this truth. They do not wait for everything to line up perfectly. They recognize that progress belongs to those who move forward despite uncertainty. Success is not built by waiting for opportunity to arrive. It is built by taking action and creating opportunity along the way. If you study the lives of successful people, you will discover that they rarely began their journey under ideal circumstances. Many started with limited resources, little experience, and countless doubts. What separated them from others was not luck or perfect timing. It was their willingness to begin before they felt fully prepared. They understood that action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Waiting often feels safe because it protects us from failure and disappointment, but it also prevents growth. Every great accomplishment starts with someone stepping into the unknown and trusting that they will figure things out as they go. The road to success is not revealed all at once. It becomes visible one step at a time. Fear often disguises itself as preparation. People tell themselves they are waiting for the right moment, but in reality, they are waiting for fear to disappear. They believe that one day they will wake up feeling completely confident and ready to pursue their goals. Yet confidence does not come before action. It comes because of action. Every skill you have ever developed, every challenge you have ever overcome, and every achievement you have ever accomplished required you to act before you felt fully ready. Growth has always existed on the other side of uncertainty. The sooner you accept that fear is part of the journey, the sooner you free yourself from the trap of endless waiting. Imagine how many opportunities are lost because people delay taking the first step. Business is never launched, books never written, careers never pursued, and dreams never realized simply because someone was waiting for a better time. The tragedy is not failure. The tragedy is never trying at all. Time continues to move forward whether you act or not. Every day spent waiting is a day that could have been used to learn, improve, and get closer to your goals. The people who accomplish remarkable things understand that action, even imperfect action, is infinitely more valuable than endless planning. They know that mistakes can be corrected, lessons can be learned, and strategies can be adjusted, but opportunities missed through inaction can never be recovered. There is a powerful transformation that occurs the moment you stop focusing on what is missing and start focusing on what is possible. Instead of asking, what if I fail? You begin asking, what if this works? Instead of worrying about every obstacle ahead, you focus on taking the next step. This shift in mindset changes everything. It allows you to move from being a spectator in your own life to becoming the creator of your future. Action generates energy, enthusiasm, and belief. Each small victory strengthens your confidence and proves that progress is possible. What once seemed impossible begins to feel achievable because you are no longer standing still. The truth is that the perfect moment you have been waiting for does not exist somewhere in the future. The best time to start is the moment you decide that your dreams matter more than your excuses. Every successful journey begins with an imperfect beginning. Every meaningful achievement starts before all the answers are known. The conditions may never be ideal, the timing may never feel perfect, and certainty may never arrive. But greatness is not reserved for those who wait. It belongs to those who take action despite uncertainty, embrace the challenge before them, and trust that they can grow into the person their goals require them to become. The life you want is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is waiting for your decision to begin. Many people make decisions with excitement and enthusiasm, but very few remain committed when challenges begin to appear. It is easy to feel motivated when everything is going well, when progress is visible, and when results come quickly. The real test comes when the journey becomes difficult, When setbacks occur, and when success seems farther away than expected, this is where commitment separates dreamers from achievers. A decision may start the journey, but commitment is what keeps you moving forward when every reason to quit begins to whisper in your ear. The people who create extraordinary lives are not necessarily the most talented, they are often the most committed. They understand that success is not determined by how strongly you start, but by how consistently you continue. Commitment means refusing to allow temporary emotions to control permanent goals. There will be days when you feel inspired and energized, but there will also be days when motivation disappears completely. If your actions depend solely on how you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent. True commitment is choosing to move forward even when enthusiasm fades. It is waking up and doing the work when nobody is watching. It is continuing to push toward your goals even when immediate rewards are nowhere in sight. The greatest accomplishments in life are built by people who understand that discipline often matters more than motivation. They know that feelings come and go, but commitment remains steady. Every worthwhile goal demands a price. Success requires effort, sacrifice, patience, and persistence. Yet many people want the reward without being willing to pay the cost. They admire successful individuals but fail to see the years of dedication that happen behind the scenes. What appears to be overnight success is often the result of countless days, months, or even years of unwavering commitment. Every champion, every leader, and every successful entrepreneur face moments when quitting seemed easier than continuing. The difference is that they made a commitment to their vision and refused to abandon it when obstacles appeared. They understood that challenges are not signs to stop. They are opportunities to prove how serious they are about their goals. Commitment also changes the way you view setbacks. Most people see failure as a reason to quit, but committed individuals see failure as feedback. They understand that mistakes are not proof of weakness. They are part of the learning process. Every setback contains a lesson that can make you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for future success. When you are truly committed, obstacles become stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What can this teach me?" This mindset transforms adversity into growth and allows you to maintain momentum even when circumstances become difficult. One of the most powerful aspects of commitment is that it builds trust in yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you follow through despite challenges, you strengthen your character. Over time, you begin to see yourself differently. You no longer view yourself as someone who starts and stops. You become someone who finishes what they begin. This self-trust becomes a powerful force because it affects every area of your life. The confidence that comes from honoring your commitments cannot be given by anyone else. It is earned through consistent action and repeated proof that you can rely on yourself no matter what challenges arise. The truth is that remarkable results are rarely produced by occasional effort. They are created through sustained commitment over time. Small actions performed consistently can produce extraordinary outcomes. A person who commits to improving a little every day eventually achieves what others consider impossible. The journey may not always be exciting, and the results may not always come quickly, but commitment has a way of turning ordinary effort into extraordinary success. When you decide that giving up is no longer an option, you unlock a level of determination that most people never experience. That commitment becomes the driving force that carries you through difficulties, fuels your growth, and ultimately transforms your dreams into reality. Every person dreams about a better future, but many fail to realize that the future is not something that simply happens to us. It is something we create through the choices we make every day. Your life today is largely the result of the decisions you made yesterday, last month, and even years ago. The habits you practice, the people you spend time with, the way you use your time, and the standards you set for yourself all stem from choices. While it is easy to blame circumstances, luck, or other people for where we are, the truth is that our decisions play a far greater role in shaping our destiny than we often acknowledge. The exciting part of this realization is that if your choices have the power to create your current reality, they also have the power to create a completely different future. Many people imagine that life-changing success comes from one giant breakthrough, but in reality, the future is usually built through a series of small decisions made consistently over time. A single healthy meal may not transform your body, and one workout may not make you fit, but repeated choices in the right direction eventually create remarkable results. The same principle applies to finances, relationships, education, and personal growth. Every positive habit starts with a small choice. Every achievement begins with a simple decision to take one step forward. What appears to be extraordinary success is often the accumulation of ordinary decisions repeated day after day. The future is not created in dramatic moments alone. It is shaped in the quiet choices nobody sees. One of the most powerful truths about life is that every decision carries consequences. Some consequences appear immediately, while others take months or years to reveal themselves. This is why many people underestimate the impact of their daily choices. They focus on what feels good in the moment rather than what will benefit them in the future. Yet every action is like casting a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose discipline, you strengthen discipline. When you choose growth, you strengthen growth. When you choose excuses, procrastination, or negativity, those patterns also grow stronger. The future version of yourself is being created right now through the decisions you make today. The people who achieve extraordinary things understand the importance of intentional decision making. They do not leave their future to chance. They carefully consider whether their actions align with their goals and values. They ask themselves whether a particular choice is moving them closer to the life they want or further away from it. This level of awareness allows them to take control of their direction instead of simply reacting to circumstances. While others drift through life hoping things will improve, successful individuals make conscious choices that support their vision. They understand that every decision matters because every decision contributes to the person they are becoming. It is also important to recognize that your choices influence more than just your external results. They shape your identity. Every time you make a positive decision, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, disciplined, and committed. Every time you honor your goals, you strengthen your confidence and self-respect. Over time, these choices create a powerful internal transformation. You begin to see yourself differently because your actions provide evidence of who you are. This is why personal growth is not just about achieving goals. It is about becoming the kind of person who consistently makes decisions that support success, happiness, and fulfillment. The beauty of life is that no matter where you are right now, you have the ability to make a new choice. You are not trapped by your past decisions, and you are not limited by previous mistakes. Every day presents a fresh opportunity to choose a better path, adopt a stronger mindset, and take actions that align with your highest potential. The future remains unwritten, and the pen is in your hands. The choices you make today may seem small, but they have the power to influence your tomorrow in ways you cannot yet imagine. Every great life is ultimately built one decision at a time, and the choices you make now are quietly shaping the story you will one day tell. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about success is the belief that confidence must come before action. Many individuals spend years waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel certain, and waiting for the fear to disappear before they pursue their goals. They tell themselves that once they become more confident, they will start the business, apply for the opportunity, speak in public, change their lives, or chase their dreams. But confidence does not work that way. Confidence is not a gift that suddenly appears. It is not something reserved for a lucky few. Confidence is built through action. It grows every time you take a step forward despite uncertainty. The people you admire today were not born with unshakable confidence. They developed it by repeatedly facing challenges and proving to themselves that they could overcome them. Think about any skill you have mastered in your life. There was a time when you knew very little about it. Whether it was learning to ride a bicycle, drive a car, speak in front of people, or perform a job successfully, you started with uncertainty. You likely felt nervous, awkward, and unsure of yourself. Yet through practice and repetition, your confidence increased. Why? Because every action provided evidence that you were capable of learning and improving. Confidence was not present at the beginning of the journey. It was the result of the journey. The same principle applies to every area of life. You gain confidence by doing, not by waiting. Every action strengthens your belief in yourself and expands your comfort zone. Fear often convinces people that they must eliminate uncertainty before taking action. It whispers that failure will be embarrassing, that mistakes will be costly, and that waiting is the safer option. But fear rarely disappears through waiting. In fact, the longer you delay, the larger your fears often become. Your imagination begins creating worst-case scenarios that seem bigger than reality. Action is the only thing that weakens fear. The moment you take a step forward, you begin replacing assumptions with experience. You discover that challenges are manageable, that mistakes are survivable, and that growth happens faster than you expected. The courage to act despite fear is what eventually transforms fear into confidence. The most successful people in the world understand this principle deeply. They do not wait until they feel perfectly prepared before making a move. They understand that uncertainty is part of every worthwhile journey. Entrepreneurs launch businesses without guarantees. Athletes compete despite the possibility of losing. Leaders make decisions without knowing every outcome. What separates them from others is not a lack of fear. It is their willingness to act in spite of it. They recognize that confidence is earned through experience, and experience can only be gained through action. Every achievement they accomplish becomes another piece of evidence that strengthens their belief in themselves. There is something powerful that happens when you repeatedly keep promises to yourself. Each time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small, you begin building trust in your own abilities. You prove that you are capable of taking action even when conditions are not perfect. This self-trust becomes the foundation of genuine confidence. It is no longer based on positive thinking alone. It is supported by real experiences and real victories. Over time, you stop questioning whether you can handle challenges because you have already demonstrated to yourself that you can. Confidence grows naturally when your actions consistently align with your goals and values. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped waiting to feel ready and started acting today. Think about the opportunities you might discover, the skills you could develop, and the growth you could experience. Every confident person you admire once stood exactly where you are now, uncertain, nervous, and unsure of what would happen next. The difference is that they chose movement over hesitation. They understood that confidence is not the starting point, it is the reward for taking action. Every step you take, every challenge you face, and every obstacle you overcome adds another layer of strength to your character. The confidence you seek is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is being built right now through the actions you are willing to take today. One of the most powerful truths a person can discover is that their past does not have the authority to determine their future. Yet countless people spend years trapped by old mistakes, painful memories, failures, and disappointments. They allow yesterday's experiences to dictate today's decisions and tomorrow's possibilities. They replay past events in their minds so often that they begin to believe those moments define who they are. But your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. It contains lessons, wisdom, and experiences, but it was never meant to become a prison. No matter what has happened before this moment, you have the ability to choose a new direction. The chapters already written in your story may explain where you have been, but they do not have the power to decide where you are going next. Many people carry the weight of failure as if it were a permanent label attached to their identity. They fail at a business and start calling themselves a failure. They experience rejection and begin believing they are not worthy. They make mistakes and convince themselves they are incapable of success. The problem is that failure is an event, not a person. Mistakes are actions, not identities. Every successful individual has encountered setbacks that could have convinced them to quit. The difference is that they refuse to let temporary defeats become permanent definitions. They understood that failure is often one of life's greatest teachers. Every setback contains lessons that can strengthen character, sharpen skills, and prepare a person for future success if they are willing to learn from it instead of being controlled by it. History is filled with examples of people who refuse to let their past define their future. Many of the world's greatest achievers experienced rejection, poverty, criticism, and repeated failures before reaching extraordinary success. There were moments when circumstances suggested they would never accomplish anything significant, yet they made a powerful choice. They chose not to let their previous experiences dictate their future potential. They understood that where they started did not determine where they could finish. Their stories remind us that greatness is often born from perseverance, resilience, and the willingness to keep moving forward despite difficult beginnings. What matters most is not what happened to you, but what you decide to do with what happened to you. One of the reasons people remain stuck in the past is because they focus on what they have lost instead of what they still possess. They think about missed opportunities, broken relationships, financial struggles, and painful regrets. While these experiences may be real and painful, they do not erase the opportunities that still exist today. Every new day offers a fresh chance to grow, improve, and make better choices. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to keep moving forward. The moment you shift your focus from regret to possibility, you begin reclaiming your power. Instead of asking why something happened, you start asking what you can do next. That simple change in perspective can transform your entire future. Personal transformation begins when you stop identifying with your past limitations and start identifying with your future potential. Too many people describe themselves based on who they used to be rather than who they are capable of becoming. They say things like, "I've always been this way," or "I've never been good enough." These beliefs become invisible barriers that limit growth. But human beings are designed to evolve. Your habits can change. Your mindset can change. Your circumstances can change. The person you are today is not the person you must remain forever. Every day provides an opportunity to make decisions that align with the future version of yourself rather than the person you used to be. Growth becomes possible the moment you believe change is possible. Imagine the freedom that comes from no longer carrying the burden of your past on your shoulders. Imagine waking up each day focused on possibilities instead of limitations. Imagine refusing to allow old failures to control new opportunities. The truth is that your future is still unwritten. No mistake is powerful enough to erase your potential. No setback is permanent unless you decide it is. No disappointment has the right to define the rest of your life. Every successful comeback begins with a decision to stop looking backward and start moving forward. The past may have shaped you, but it does not own you. What truly defines your future is the choice you make today to rise above what has happened and become more than you ever believed possible. One of the most important turning points in a person's life occurs when they stop blaming everything around them and start taking responsibility for their own future. This does not mean that life is always fair or that difficult circumstances do not exist. Everyone faces challenges, disappointments, and obstacles that are beyond their control. However, while you may not control every event that happens to you, you always control how you respond to those events. The moment you accept responsibility for your actions, decisions, and mindset, you reclaim your power. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you begin to see yourself as the creator of your future. This shift in thinking can completely transform the direction of your life because it places the power for change back into your own hands. Many people spend years waiting for someone else to solve their problems. They wait for better opportunities, better conditions, better leaders, or better luck. They believe their lives will improve when something external changes. Unfortunately, this mindset often leads to frustration and disappointment because it places control outside of themselves. Personal growth begins when you stop waiting for rescue and start taking ownership. Successful people understand that while they cannot control everything, they can control their effort, attitude, preparation, and choices. They focus their energy on what they can influence rather than wasting it on what they cannot. This approach allows them to move forward even when circumstances are difficult because they are not dependent on external factors to make progress. Taking responsibility also requires honesty. It means looking at your life and being willing to acknowledge where your decisions have contributed to your current results. This can be uncomfortable because it forces you to confront mistakes, bad habits, and missed opportunities. Yet this honesty is essential for growth. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. The moment you stop making excuses and start examining your choices, you gain valuable insight into what needs to improve. Responsibility is not about self-criticism, it is about self-awareness. It is the ability to recognize where you are, understand how you got there, and take deliberate steps toward where you want to go. One of the greatest benefits of personal responsibility is that it builds confidence and resilience. When you take ownership of your life, you stop feeling powerless. You begin to realize that your actions matter and that your decisions have the ability to create positive change. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow stronger rather than a reason to complain. Every setback becomes a lesson rather than an excuse to quit. This mindset creates resilience because you understand that your future is not determined solely by what happens to you, but by how you respond. The more responsibility you take, the more capable and empowered you become. Responsibility also affects the standards you set for yourself. People who take ownership of their lives refuse to settle for mediocrity because they understand that their choices shape their future. They become intentional about how they spend their time, who they surround themselves with, and what habits they practice daily. They recognize that success is not accidental. It is the result of consistent decisions aligned with meaningful goals. Instead of blaming circumstances for their lack of progress, they look for ways to improve. This proactive mindset allows them to continue growing while others remain stuck, waiting for conditions to change. Imagine how different your life could become if you fully embraced responsibility for every area within your control. Imagine waking up each day knowing that your choices matter and that your actions are shaping your future. Instead of focusing on what others are doing, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Instead of dwelling on problems, you search for solutions. Instead of making excuses, you take action. This level of ownership creates a powerful sense of purpose because you understand that your future is not something that happens by chance. It is something you actively create through the decisions you make, the habits you build, and the responsibility you are willing to accept for your own life. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that influences human behavior. It has stopped countless people from pursuing their dreams, taking risks, speaking their truth, and stepping into their full potential. Fear often appears convincing because it disguises itself as logic and protection. It tells you to stay where you are because it feels safe. It warns you about everything that could go wrong and magnifies uncertainty until action seems impossible. Yet, if you look closely at the lives of the most successful and fulfilled people, you will discover something remarkable. They were not fearless. They simply refused to allow fear to make their decisions for them. They understood that growth, opportunity, and achievement exist beyond the boundaries of comfort. The moment you choose growth over fear, you begin opening doors that fear would have kept permanently closed. Every significant breakthrough in life requires stepping into the unknown. Whether it is starting a business, changing careers, pursuing a dream, building a relationship, or developing a new skill, uncertainty is always part of the process. Fear naturally arises whenever you face something unfamiliar because your mind is designed to protect you from potential danger. However, growth requires a different perspective. It requires understanding that discomfort is not always a sign that something is wrong. Often, discomfort is evidence that you are expanding beyond your current limits. The greatest opportunities in life rarely arrive wrapped in certainty. They arrive disguised as challenges that demand courage. Those who are willing to move forward despite uncertainty often discover possibilities they never imagined. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that fear will eventually disappear before they take action. They wait for a moment when they feel completely confident, completely prepared, and completely certain. Unfortunately, that moment rarely comes. Fear is not something you conquer once and never experience again. Instead, courage is developed by acting in the presence of fear. Every time you face a challenge, despite feeling nervous, you strengthen your ability to handle future obstacles. Every step outside your comfort zone expands your confidence and reduces the power fear has over your life. The only way to prove to yourself that you can handle more is to consistently do more than you thought possible. Growth demands that you become comfortable with temporary discomfort. Think about an athlete training for a competition. The process involves exhaustion, sacrifice, discipline, and setbacks. Yet those challenges are necessary because growth requires resistance. Muscles become stronger through strain, and character becomes stronger through adversity. The same principle applies to every area of life. Personal development requires effort. Success requires persistence. Transformation requires patience. People who choose growth understand that short-term discomfort often leads to long-term rewards. They are willing to endure challenges today because they recognize the person they are becoming tomorrow. Fear often focuses your attention on what you might lose, while growth focuses your attention on what you might gain. Fear asks, "What if I fail?" Growth asks, "What if I succeed?" Fear highlights obstacles, risks, and difficulties. Growth highlights possibilities, opportunities, and potential. The questions you ask yourself determine the direction of your thoughts and actions. When you constantly focus on worst-case scenarios, you create hesitation and doubt. But when you focus on what is possible, you create motivation and momentum. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not blind to risk. They simply refuse to let risk overshadow opportunity. They understand that every meaningful reward in life requires the willingness to step beyond fear. Imagine looking back on your life years from now and realizing that fear never prevented you from becoming who you were meant to be. Imagine knowing that you took chances, embraced challenges, and pursued opportunities even when the outcome was uncertain. The greatest regrets in life often come not from failure, but from the opportunities we never pursued because fear convinced us to stay still. Every dream worth achieving will require courage. Every major breakthrough will require faith in yourself. Every new level of success will require growth beyond your current limitations. The choice between fear and growth presents itself every day, and each time you choose growth, you move one step closer to the extraordinary life that has been waiting for you all along. In the end, life always comes down to choices, not circumstances. Every person is given moments where they can either stay the same or step into something greater. The truth is simple but powerful. You are not defined by where you started, what you went through, or what others expected of you. You are defined by the decisions you make from this moment forward. When you choose discipline over excuses, action over hesitation, and belief over doubt, you begin to reshape your entire future. Nothing changes until you decide it will change. There will always be challenges, fear, and uncertainty waiting on the path ahead, but those things are not signals to stop. They are signals that you are growing. Every struggle you face is shaping you into a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not the absence of fear or difficulty, but the decision to keep moving forward despite them. So the question is no longer whether change is possible, because it is. The real question is whether you are willing to choose it. One decision can shift the direction of your entire life. One moment of courage can open doors you never thought possible. And one commitment to growth can turn your dreams into reality.